How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about people quitting their jobs because of the stimulus check and also the earned income tax credit. And I'm not making this up. I have evidence. Matter of fact, before I even go down the road into my spiel here, let's go straight to the evidence. Now, this is in Tennessee. This is at a Crystal's restaurant. Now, you see what this says. This is like right on the, I guess like the drive-through, the little speaker thing where you say your order. It says, "Sorry for the inconvenience. We are currently closed. Management." And then I'm going to read this as it's written. "My crew called out because they got their stimulus checks. Please apply for their positions on crystals.com. Thanks, management." So this is a sign right here. This is a real sign. I checked it out. This is a real thing. The staff got their checks and immediately just left. They said, "You know what? I'm out. What's the point in working? I got my stimulus check." Now, the stimulus check is not that much. You're talking about what? $1,000, $1,400. If you got kids and you got the earned income tax credit, I think you get $1,300 for each kid. So depending upon your situation, you might have got a nice little bit of money. Okay, you might have a husband or wife. So both of y'all got stimulus checks, and then each of the kids, there's stimulus checks for them, plus the earned income tax credit. So if you got a family of four, you got the 14 for each adult, so that's 28. Then another 28 for the kids, plus what's that? 26. So that's nice. So you're talking about almost 10 grand right there, between 8 and 10 grand. So you're thinking you're rich now. You're thinking this $8,000 is like $800,000 or $8 million. So you go ahead and quit your job. I mean, why go to work? And then plus, what I found out by looking into this, because I was like, okay, if they're quitting their job, what are they going to do? They're going to blow through that stimmy money, but also they also could get unemployment. All right. Now, I thought that you were not eligible for unemployment if you quit your job, but apparently under this whole thing we got going on here, you can get the unemployment insurance even if you quit your job. If it was for a quote unquote good cause or a good reason, you can just say, "Hey, I work at a restaurant. I'm worried about getting the virus. I don't want to get the virus, so I need to get this unemployment insurance because I quit. It was for my own safety." So that's $600 per week in unemployment insurance plus the stimulus. They're living like kings. Now, this is the complete wrong way to go. Totally the wrong way to go. If it were me and I was in that position, making minimum wage at a restaurant or whatever, like prime example, not only was Crystals, which is like a burger, kind of like a fast food burger joint, kind of like a McDonald's, I guess you would say. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments. But not only was Crystals going through that, but also Chili's and a bunch of other service-based industries, maybe even grocery stores and things like that. But let's go to Chili's. Now, Chili's is a sit-down restaurant. You can order food and do takeout, but it's a sit-down restaurant. Now, if I am an employee there, if I'm a waiter, I'm going to stay at my job, especially when other guys around me quit or they're not showing up for the shift or whatever the case may be, because I know I'm going to get more work. I know I'm going to get more tables. All right. So I got the stimulus money. I'll put that aside for a different reason. I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll put that aside and then I'll keep going to work because I'm going to get more tables. Therefore, I'm going to get more money in tips. Am I going to work harder? Sure, but I'm going to get more money. And that's the whole point. And as a matter of fact, if I think that, it's a little bit too much on me, I have some of my friends come from the hood, come in there and get some of this money. And I'm going to sell it to them. I'll be like, "Hey, you could come in here. They'll pay you $10 an hour. And you're going to get tips from the tables. You might not get that much per hour. I'm just saying, even if you don't get 10 or minimum wage as a waiter or waitress, you're going to get that table tip money. And then also it'll look good for your resume in the future, because one thing is, all right, if you're trying to, be working jobs and things of that nature in the future, how are you going to explain not working for a period of time while you're living on unemployment and you're also living on the stimmy checks and the earned income tax credit from your kids? How are you going to explain a year of not working after the pandemic is over with. I mean, there's only so long you can use that excuse, right? There's only so long you can use that excuse. Like, especially if you've been there throughout the whole thing, they're gonna say, "Hey, why'd you quit in March of 2021 where things are getting back to normal?" If you want a recommendation from your former employer, how are you going to get that when you quit because you got your stimmy check? You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go extremely hard. I'm going to get all the tip money from the extra tables because some of my coworkers have quit. And I'll make sure the management, the bosses, they like me. I'm in their good graces because I'm able to get the recommendation later as I move up in, working at different jobs. That's how I'm going to do it. Like when I was doing my whole resume thing, I had rock solid references. Guys that you could call, owners of businesses you could call and say, "Hey, how was ABL when he was working? Was he good? Was he bad? Was he always?" I got guys that can call that would vouch for me as a person. But a lot of these guys are going to blow through that money. And, this is really a preview of Andrew Yang's UBI. This is the exact same thing that will happen. You're going to have drug sales go through the roof. Oh, man. I already saw a story where a mother had bought some fentanyl with the stimulus check, and then her little boy's son, got into it and died. Very sad story. But unfortunately, it's very predictable. A lot of these people have never had that kind of money in their hand at one time. You working minimum wage, you're making like $800 a month, $1,000 a month. So to have $8,000-$10,000 at once in their hand is just, they're not going to understand how to be able to manage those assets. Now, I'm not saying everyone will be the same way. Okay. Like I was saying, if I was in that situation, I would do the proper thing because I already had the mentality to begin with. However, when you deal with perpetually poor people, that's just not how they think. They think, okay, hand to mouth. So if I get $800 in the month, I'm going to spend that money in the month. If I get $10,000 at once, I'm going to spend $10,000 buying dumb stuff. I'm going to get a gigantic golden duck and put it right in my front yard. Okay, yeah, I live in the bando. Yeah, I don't have my power on at the moment, but so what? I want that giant golden duck because I got the money. So what? It's my money. That's kind of the mentality that a lot of people have, which is why Andrew Yang's UBI would not be a good thing. That money would simply get blown. And if you don't know what UBI is, that's universal basic income. So regardless of whether you work or not, you get $1,000 per month every month. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments, but that's pretty much what it is. That money would get wasted. This is why the unemployment insurance is way too high. $600 per week. What's the point in working? And the ultimate, the end game to all of this would be negative for the poorer person, and it'd be a positive for the richer person. I'll explain. So if you got guys just calling off their jobs, working at McDonald's, KFC, like cheap food places, the cheap food places will not be available to those that frequent cheap food places, meaning people don't have any kind of money. All right. How are you going to go to McDonald's and get your dollar burger anymore if there's nobody there to actually work at McDonald's? How are you going to get that? So if you want to be able to eat, go to the grocery store. Oh, well, grocery store, we're dealing with a lack of employees as well because of the stimulus check. So in order to attract more employees that you need because many have left, you're going to have to raise the wages upon which somebody would get hired. So rather than $10 an hour or whatever a store may hire you, let's go $17 an hour. But the only way you can be able to do that is to raise the cost of goods and services. It's the only way you're going to be able to raise wages and stay in business is to raise the cost of the things that the customers buy. So if you're just a regular normie going to the grocery store, you don't have a whole lot of money, you're going to pay more. Yeah, the employees get paid more, but you're going to pay more too. And then you have inflation happening at the same time because we're just printing this money. We got Jerome Powell in the back just basically printing, and showering money all over the place. So you have an increase in the money supply. That means it's less valuable, which means you're going to have to spend more money to get basic goods and services. Then on top of that, we got to raise wages to attract employees that have left So we got to raise the cost of goods and services. All right. So the end of it will be just a higher cost of living. So your stimulus check and the unemployment insurance may appear like a lot right now, but in essence, you're going to end up with less money as far as a value point of view. And I forgot about the gas. Okay, if you drive a car, you're going to pay more at the pump. And if you buy anything that gets shipped, which is everything for the most part, because we don't produce anything here anymore, that's a different story. If you buy anything that's shipped, you're going to pay more for that item because shipping costs include gas prices. So you're going to pay more. It's going to go up and up and up and up. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Here's what I would do if I got a stimulus check for, like, let's say a total of $5,000, just a ballpark random figure. Matter of fact, this happened to me when I was about 23 years old. My grandfather had died and left me that much money. Now, at this particular time, I was starting my business. I was doing my club flyer thing, and that's what I was really getting into at that time. So when that happened, I took mostly all of that money and put it to the side for working capital, meaning if I needed to buy anything that I would make back at a later time, I could get it because I had the money for it right now. I did not need to use credit that much because I had cash for working capital. You understand what I'm saying? And then at that time, I was moving out of the house. I was, getting myself together. So I was using that to be able to make more money for myself. And I didn't spend it all. I put some in savings, some working capital, and then some, I bought some equipment, just minor pieces of equipment. But from that, I was always able to have, 5, 10 grand in the bank because I knew how to manage my money properly. Even before that, when I was like 17 years old, I was working a job in the summertime before I went to college, to the community college, and I paid for my whole first semester out of my pocket with cash and my books and everything else. And at the time, I was paying rent at the house, where I was living with my mom's paying rent there. So I'm paying rent, paying for my college, all of that off a job, making $6.25, $6.50 an hour. You see, my mentality was a certain way to where if I was to be given the windfall of money, I wouldn't just waste it. But unfortunately, a lot of people do not have that knowledge. They do not have the information I had at a young age. So they're going to blow through this money. And as a result of them blowing the money, quitting the jobs, plus inflation, when it's all said and done, when the smoke clears, when the stimulus money runs out, when the unemployment insurance stops coming in, they're going to be in the worst situation than they were before. It's like the episode of Family Guy when they won a lottery and kept going broke. They wound up worse than what they were before they got the money because their mentality was not prepared for those types of assets, those amounts of monies to fall into their lap. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about people quitting their jobs because of the stimulus check and the earned income tax credit and things of that nature? Will it work out well for them? Will it work out poorly for them? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. Did I say anything wrong here? Am I judging people and saying, hey, they shouldn't spend their money, even though it's their money? They can spend it any kind of way they want to. So if they want to go shoot fentanyl, if they want to blow it on giant golden ducks in their front yard, then they should do it because it's their business. And I shouldn't really care about that. If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. But you guys know where I stand. I think that this idea of just giving out money, printing money, and going way into debt to do it as a nation, we're about to be like, $30 trillion in debt? Understand this. The GDP of the entire world is like 90 trillion. I'm talking about every single country on planet Earth, the GDP is about 90 trillion. And we're $30 trillion in debt. How are we ever going to pay that? And how are we not going to have a penalty for just MC hammering all this money, for printing all this money? The bill's going to come due sooner rather than later. It won't be for the grandkids and whatnot. It's going to be right now for us that are living today, in my humble opinion. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.